I'm good. How are you? I am. Sorry, I'm just starting a meeting. I bought my condo a couple of years ago. Yeah. And so I've been wanting to, so I love my condo. It's I love it. I love everything about it except for the drive. And I just don't see my kids, etc. So I've been looking and I found a place in Clinton and yeah, it's like brand new, it's been redone and never lived in. So to me, it's brand new. I know. I can't either. It's incredible. Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. So, and I got it at asking price, which is unheard of. There was no bidding war, which is unheard of. It's a really beautiful lot. So I'm really happy. So anyway, I'm gonna rent my condo. Um, and then that, right. And then that allows me to be able to have a more expensive mortgage because now I've got an income. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, so that just worked out. Yeah. Yep. End of the month. I closed, yeah, at the end of the month. Yeah, so when you called, my friend had just died. Yeah, the funeral is Saturday, so I'm going to New Jersey overnight for that. And Brett got into an accident, and he's going to be fine, but it's been, you know, he's okay. Yeah, but he's banged up and lots of appointments and all that stuff. And then nothing is broken. No. Well, his front tooth is broken off. He had to have it repaired. And and then my nephew, yeah, and my nephew has been in ICU since that same day, since Sunday. He was in ICU. He's only 2. And then after a week, they released him, and then he got back in this week and had his treatment, and he's out. He had, remember when all the kids had Kawasaki disease, like hand, foot, and mouth? They all get it. Well, he got it, and it went into like the rare form of it. And so it's inflammatory. So they worry about heart, brain. He was physically bloated, like inflamed, rashes, lethargic. They couldn't get him to wake up. It was just awful. And my girls are super close to him and to my niece, who's actually due to deliver any day. So it is crazy. Yeah, crazy. So I'm fine. I have been totally digging into my self-care, taking care of myself, doing what I need to do. Me personally, my little bubble, I'm good. But I've been completely distracted. And so that's why I said in my message, I don't even know when. I know you sent me the information, and that's as far as I got. So well, how it's easy for me to post and stuff. I just need like a push. So I'm glad that you called. What's the easiest thing for me to grab and post? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. And I can definitely get that out today and I'll put it on. In fact, I work with workshops tonight, which I've been cutting down because I used to live out the house and share the rest of it. Because I want, things. I want a couch. Um, totally, yeah, it has totally been resolved. Yeah, I think that's all been resolved, yeah, I think that's all been resolved, so, but I would, think that's always great. Yeah, I'm not, so my, yeah, the tension or the friction is resolved, but the details are not in my place of that. Um. Yeah, so other than that, I would just, it's all about like staying present and not worrying. And how's your dad doing? Mhm. 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 Oh, that's awesome. Uh-huh. Yeah. Mhm. Right. Mhm. 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 Totally just good, yeah. She had a diagnosis a year ago of the same disease that her father died from, which was Jacob's Crutchfield disease. It mimics mad cow, so it's neurological and it's terrible. Yeah, so terrible disease and very but she's been in hospice since October. Um, so yeah, exactly. Like I feel like I'm just getting started and something like that. It's like, just can't imagine. Yeah. Well, and she waited to have her kids, so her kids are young, they're eighth grade and 10th grade or something. So, she's from Buffalo, but she goes to university, but she's in New York City, like 30 years, so the services over there. So, all right, I have to jump on this call, but yes, send me and I will post away. Thanks. All right, bye. Hello, Isabel.
Hello, Kat.
How are you?
I am very, very well. How are you?
Great. I have my queen.
Yes. And you're beautiful. I know exactly where you're sitting.
Exactly.
Or do I? Yes, I do, because you haven't.
I haven't moved yet.
When do you move? I'm so excited.
The end of the month. The closing is on Friday, the 28th, and then the house is empty because it's brand new construction.
Wow.
So I can move in that day. Hang on, Scott's probably trying to get the link. Hello. Hi. I'm good. Are you coming on Isabel's call? I thought you were calling for the link. It's on Mighty Networks under events. If you go to the outlierproject.mn.co, that's the link for it, but I can also just email it to you. Yep. All right. Bye. Hilarious, right? He's like, how do you get there? I'm like, oh God.
Can you make me a co-host when you're ready?
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, why can't I see the breakout rooms? That's weird.
I don't know if we have breakout rooms, honestly.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay. I was
Well, I've never used them. I don't know. Maybe we do.
yeah, I can't see, funny enough, I can't see the option for them down in the menu, which is weird because
I'll make you the full host just so you can see, but
you don't see them.
No, we've never used them.
Wow. Am I now the full host?
You are now the full host.
Yeah, I don't see them either. Oh man. Okay. I was really wanting to have them. I just assumed you'd have them. It's all right.
So just to set expectations, we have not had large groups on these calls.
No.
Okay.
That's fine. That's all good.
But look who's here. It's Tom Doherty.
Man, that's a good intro. I like that. It was almost like our getting ready to rumble type intro.
Oh, good. It's so good to see your face. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Doing good.
Frank.
Hi, everybody.
Frank's looking very blue today, Frank.
Yes, but I'm in a happy spot. I may look blue, but I'm a happy guy.
Excellent.
Well, blue is calming and trustworthy.
Of which I am the epitome.
Exactly.
Self-proclaimed, mind you, but still.
I'd vouch for you. I'd vouch for you.
So Deb Katz, all of a sudden your profile picture makes sense to me.
Oh, yes. Exactly.
Right, Isabel? That's like
Yes, of course. Absolutely. I see that now. I am sorting out there we go. Now I can see all of you at the same time. Wonderful. How are you, Deb? Frank, thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
Manala as well. And
hi, everyone.
hello.
oh.
How is it? Where are all of you? Well, I know where Manola is. Frank, where are you located?
Absolutely glorious. I'm in the Midwest. I live on a farm outside of Kansas City. And I just came back from a week-long vacation on the Outer Banks of North Carolina. So I am indeed rested and excited about today. So, and Isabel, I've never had a chance to meet you yet. So this is very nice. I'm looking forward to you leading this discussion and learning from you. I've heard nothing but great things about you. So it's going to be fun for me.
Well, thank you. I'm very, very grateful that you're here. And there's the man himself who's just arrived as well. Hello, Scott.
Hello, hello. Good
Hello,
to see you
hello.
guys.
Yeah, you too. Are you back from Canada now?
I am.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal. Yeah, unbelievable.
Saw some of your posts on LinkedIn. Looked incredible, incredible.
Yeah, it was gorgeous. It
Mm,
snowed, but it was beautiful.
good. Okay, well, I'm gonna just start-ish. Oh, Chris has just joined us. Great. Hello, Chris.
Based on our experience, I would give maybe 1 or 2 minutes if you have it to spare, Isabel, just for people to leave it their last meeting and jump on.
Of course, I
Yeah,
was only
it seems like 2 to 3 after is like a big
Chris
that's a
Holmes.
big influx.
yeah, and it's only just 5 o'clock, right? Sorry, 12 o'clock. So 6
I'll be
o'clock.
on camera for most of this. I'm gonna have to go off camera in about a half an hour, but I'll still be on.
Okay, super. Thank you. Well, it's pretty average. I'm going to talk about the weather because I'm British. That's what we do to fill the gap. So it's just normal skies here, nothing dramatic. But I've been very excited for this, and I thought we had breakout rooms, but that's okay. I've got over it. Because I was gonna throw you into breakout rooms together, but we'll do another breakout room version of this. And for now, I've got tons of a menu of things really to cover. But what I really want it to be is me talking as little as possible and you doing most of the talking. So get ready to get involved because that's the way I work. It's not going to be you sitting and listening. It's going to be you sitting and listening and doing and talking. Lots. Chris, hello. Thank you for coming. Whereabouts in the world are you, Chris?
I am in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Okay. Wow. Fantastic.
It's a pretty exciting place.
Yeah. Is that true or not so true?
It's probably not true.
What are you, where are you? Are you in your office right now? Is that your office in the
I
background?
am. Yep.
Very cool. And Minola, hello. Thank you for being here. It's
Thank
6
you.
o'clock. It's cocktail hour for you right now, right?
Yes, to help me get over me being shy.
You need to create a character, maybe. I don't know if you've ever thought of that.
I will just randomly pick one of my other 10 personalities and have fun with it.
You know, I went to see A Little Life at the Savoy Theatre last night with my brother, which is a very rare occurrence. I never really see any of my family. I have 6 siblings. I'm one of 7, and I have 4 brothers. 4 of those are brothers, and one of them went to the theatre with me last night, which was historical in itself. And it was at the Savoy, which is a beautiful theatre. I don't know if any of you have ever been to the Savoy Theatre. Have any of you been there in London? No, okay. If you do get to go to London, go to the Savoy Theatre because it's a classic Art Deco, yeah. And the play itself, has anybody read the book, A Little Life? No. Okay, well, it's not exactly a comfortable read. It's got everything in there in terms of child abuse, rape, you name it, it's all in there. And the show itself is 3 hours, 40 minutes long. And the performances are incredible, absolutely incredible. And it just reminded me about exactly what we were just saying about taking on a character and how magical that is on stage. When you see that, when you see actors switching characters as they did, in and out of different time zones, in and out of different emotional states, it's very magic when it happens with such skill. Jerry, fantastic, wonderful. So we are now 4 minutes past 5. So we might be, Kathy, are we expecting anyone else? Frank, yeah, Frank is here. Jerry is just here, I think. Hello, Jerry.
Hello. Not sure how long I could stay, but I wanted to show up.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Hi, thank you for being here. So we haven't really officially kicked off, Jerry, but we will now. We will now. I guess so. First of all, I'd like to hear from all of you, because this is about connecting. And I believe personally that we can connect as much here as we can when we're in the room with somebody. Hands up if you agree with that statement, or if you disagree, and I welcome any disagreement in terms of the connection here can be as powerful. Yeah?
I don't think so.
No? Who doesn't think so? Jerry? Tom? Great. Jerry, tell me why.
Well, I mean, you can definitely have a strong connection, but you can't, it's hard to read the entire body and to kind of pick up on all of that, and to touch someone.
Yes, very true. That we cannot do. The whole body, I'm going to challenge that in a minute by getting you to move, but we're not going to do that yet. Tom, tell me about your ideas about why you think not.
I think there's just a power and an energy to being in the same room at the same time. I feel a stronger connection to you after we met in San Diego. That's not debatable for me, right? I just do.
Right. And I totally get that, and I totally agree with that. When we don't have that as an option, I'd like to offer that in the lens that we're looking at today, story can build that same level of connection. It just feels different, right? So on the axis of efficient and effective, it's up there with being in person, but we cannot physically touch each other. That's one thing we absolutely cannot do. What we can do, to your point, Jerry, about seeing the whole body, because a lot of my work, Manolo, I'm coming to you in just 2 seconds. A lot of the work I do is around that sense of embodiment, of being in our bodies, because we have so much data from the neck down. And yet when we're here and we're building connection with people here, we are very often neck up, shoulders up. So I'm going to show you, we're going to arrive at storytelling via voice and breath. And I'm going to give you a couple of movements, a couple of techniques to really ground yourself in your body, so that when you show up here, even though all we can see most of the time is head and shoulders, you have a sense of the story that your body is telling, because our bodies are telling stories all the time. Yeah? Minola, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell everyone, stay safe from being unfilteredly honest. I became very close to someone that we only met online, and she became one of my most meaningful friends. And I said, it's so crazy that I trust you so much and I don't even know how you smell. And I meant it when I said it, but then I was like, but that's not what I meant. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
Connection. Yes.
Completely agree. Jackie Johnson, thank you very much for being here. Hello, Amy. Lovely to see you. Congratulations with your new role as well. Love to hear about that another time. But for now, I'm going to practice what I'm talking about, which is, if you're connected, Chris, if you're connected by headphones, if you can, unplug and make yourself available. And if you're able to, please stand. I'd like you all please to now stand up.
This is when you find out if somebody's got pants on or not.
This is when I blow your Zoom outfits out the water. Tom's already standing. Yeah, you see, one step ahead. You see the man who likes it in person, he's way down the line. All right, so great. I'm going to just, well, actually, no, I'm not going to spotlight me. I'm going to see all of you there. So this is what we're going to do. We're literally just going to, you don't have to look at the camera, by the way. So give yourself permission to stand upright. I just want you to be able to hear my voice. Can you please raise your hand if you can all hear me okay? Fantastic. Wonderful. Okay. So just have a sense right now of where your weight is in your body. So a lot of us, when we first stand, particularly if this is the first time you stood today, and I know today is earlier for you there will be a sense of tension and holding in the body, which is very, very natural when we've been sat. Why? Because we're not built to sit down. We are built to be on our feet or lying down, which I'm going to ask you to do in a second. But right now, if you could just place your feet under your hips. So your feet are under your hips. I'm going to give you a look at what I mean by that. So my feet, if you can see them, are pretty much hip distance apart. And what I mean by that is that your feet are literally under your hips. For those of you that practice any sort of breath practice, you'll be quite used to this. And then also I would like you to imagine that your knees are soft. So what I mean by that is there's no tension or holding in the legs. The reason I say that is because when we have any tension in our legs, we're not able to take full diaphragmatic breaths that use our diaphragm, which is, I'm going to put you up here, which is exactly what we're going to experience now. So most of us, when we breathe, most of us, not all of us, unless you're a trained performer or you work with your breath as an athlete, most of us will think about and focus on breath happening in this area of the body. What we want is to move our breath down to the diaphragm area and the ribs and all of this space down here in the body. Now, zooming back or circling back to what we just talked about in terms of being sat down and looking at a camera, very quickly we can feel disengaged from this part of our body. Is that true for most of you, would you say? That Jerry, as you said, we don't get a sense of our bodies from the shoulders down. This kind of breathing will help you to bring your breath, and this is relevant to story because we can't really tell and express story without our breath. We want to bring the breath down into the ribs. So we have our feet under our knees, hips, that alignment. And now what I'd like you to do is to place your hands, the reverse of your hands, onto your rib cage. So onto the side of the ribs. Fantastic. Lovely. And have a smile, because we can get quite serious when we do this stuff, and it's not all that serious. I want you to feel playful with it. Smiling as well helps. So we create a lot of sound in our heads. Our heads are wonderful vibrators for sound. Sound is resonance. That's all it is. Women tend to have higher resonance, i.e. the sound of our voice tends to be very much more in our heads, particularly when we're sat. And what I'd like for, particularly for the women on this call, because men, they're built differently, so their voice will resonate in different places, is for your voice to drop down into your body so that you really feel like you're speaking from your core. That makes a difference to how we connect. So, hands on the sides of ribs. Could you just close your eyes for me if you feel comfortable doing that, and let my voice guide you? Yes, Scott, no chicken dancing. So okay, go on, everybody have a chicken dance then. We're going to now take a breath in through the nose. And I say that because when we breathe through our nose, when we inhale through our nose, we're triggering our parasympathetic nervous system, which, as I'm sure most of you on this call know, it is the nervous system that restores and rests us. When we breathe through our mouth, it sends a very different message to us. So breathing in through our nose is an instant way, because it triggers the vagus nerve, which is really the biggest nerve in our parasympathetic nervous system,
that everything is okay. That's really the message we're sending the body. So we have our hands on the sides of our ribs. We take a breath in through our nose, not yet. I'm just going to talk you through it. Take a breath in through our nose for 4 counts, hold our breath, and then release our breath through the mouth. That's all we're going to do. And whilst you're taking that breath, I want you to notice what happens to your ribs. Okay? So what we're going to do first is exhale, because we don't want any unnecessary air in there. So just, yeah, love it. You've all very politely put yourselves on mute. Well, most of you have. You can unmute yourselves, okay? I quite like hearing the noise, but if you prefer to be on mute, that's fine. So hands on ribs, knees soft, so no holding in the knees. Or do this for me first, so that you get a sense of this. Do this for me first. Carefully, please, because you know your bodies, I don't. If you could actually hold some tension in your legs, and then take a breath in through the nose and see where the breath goes. Take a breath in now with tense legs. Where do you notice your breath goes? And you will have to take yourselves off mute to answer that question. Where do you notice the breath goes? Yes, absolutely, Frank. Yep, high in the chest, right? So it can't go anywhere else but into the shoulders. That is not helpful for us when we're building connection. Why? Because we get restricted here, and frankly, the thoughts and messages don't coincide so easily. Also, it will affect how we breathe and the pace of how we speak. So in order to get our breath lowered down, we need to release that tension in our legs, and we're going to do the breath now. So exhale first, please. And then we're going to breathe in for 4. I'm going to count you in through the nose, hold for 4, and out through the mouth. So 2, 1, go. Breathe in for 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 3, 2, 1, and exhale. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Open your eyes, please. Just shake that out. Shaking can be very useful. Again, it just gets our body online and it releases any tension, particularly if we've been typing or sat. It releases, we hold a lot of tension in our hands. So just have a shake, shake hands, arms, shake your bum a bit, that's good as well. And shake all that tension out. Great. Okay, sit down again, please. Please take yourselves off mute. Do you feel different after that?
Oh,
Okay.
good.
More relaxed.
More
Great.
relaxed, shoulders are down.
Uh-huh. Is the energy in your body different?
I
A
feel
little
more,
calmer, maybe.
Little calmer, yes, Kathy?
I feel more energy. Yeah, I feel more energy.
You all look different. What I mean by that is there's just a brightness. And scientifically, what we're doing is we are literally tapping into that peripheral nervous system that switches off when we are in one position, looking in one direction for too long. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about it today. We've just scraped the surface, but there's a whole wealth of data and practice that allows us to very, very, very quickly tap into that ability for the body to be as online as what we're saying and the content of, you know, the stuff, the slides, the papers, whatever it might be. Okay. Could you please find an object? Find an object where you are now that has some level of meaning. It doesn't have to be anything too profound, but if you could please just find an object.
Necklace.
That was easy.
Fantastic. Okay, So and as I said, I would usually put you into breakout rooms at this point, but that's okay. We haven't got breakout rooms, so we're going to do without breakout rooms today. I'm just going to randomly ask you, Chris, could you tell us, please, the story of your object?
Yeah, so I'm at my office, and so I grabbed this little welcome note, which was on my welcome gift when I joined the company, and I kept it because I'm a words person, even though it's just one word.
Nice. Thank you very much. Could we have Amy? Could we have your object if you're there? I don't think you're there. Okay, so Frank, tell us about yours, please.
It is just an electronic pen that allows
Okay.
me to write on different substrates and to record it on my computer.
Fantastic. Thank you. Scott, please.
I have had this easy button for at least 15 years. And I found it in my attic and I brought it down and I used this in our morning meetings, much to Kathy's chagrin. Because I always say, oh, that's easy. Yeah, that's easy.
Deb, the question is, find an object, please. Just find an object and tell us a story about it. That's it. Thank you, Scott. Minola, please.
That was easy.
So this is a stress ball, but I actually picked it because it has the world on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually a gift from a friend of mine from Spain. I took her to a bookstore. We have the public transport and train ticketing sales points in bookstores in Switzerland. And she was completely overwhelmed. So she said, I need a stress ball, and she got me one. But it's actually for the world because one of my favorite words is wanderlust.
Fantastic. Jackie, please.
Oh, I have two objects, but they'd both be fun stories.
Great.
We'll go with this one because this will surprise you guys more.
Love
I love that. Those are awesome. So much like that was easy button, I have a toy box that I incorporate when I'm doing organizational development or trying to lighten the heaviness of difficult situations, timing appropriate, audience appropriate, of course.
Yeah.
But it's just a reminder to not take life so seriously sometimes because
Love it.
it's not guaranteed.
You're speaking my language. Yes. Thank you. Deb, please.
I actually have, it's a tiny little elephant. There's a group of college roommates and we each have one just to remind us we're not alone in whatever we're doing at the time, but I keep it at work because sometimes it gets a little bit tougher here than it does at home. So there you go.
Fantastic. Thank you. Jerry, please.
This is my my necklace. I have two of them actually, but the other one's a little broken. And I got it with my friends at the crystal store by you guys that I go to every time I'm there. And my friend made me the cords broke on it, but a mala necklace. And we had a healing done on them both. So I wear them both almost all the time.
Thank you. Amy, please.
All right, I have two. I had to show Jerry mine. Jerry, this is my healing necklace that one of my friends made me. It's a labradorite quartz. I have it hanging on one of my many beautiful objects in my office, but if I feel really stressed out, that like goes on because like it makes me feel better.
Mm-hmm.
And then my favorite object, because I love music of all type, is my kitty cat head Bluetooth speaker.
Amazing.
And every time I turn it on, it does this. I gotta show you this part because this is the funny part. Hold on. Doo-doo-doo. And he yells at you as soon as you turn it on.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Tom.
So mine is a little cartoon character from Thailand, Dromon. It reminds me of when I taught in Thailand. The kids were ever so generous. They would bring me gifts every day. And I was always blown away that these young children in this poor part of the country still found a way to bring me a gift. So it's a great reminder of being in Thailand and teaching, but it's also that you don't have to have a lot to give a lot.
Thank you. Okay. Could you all grab a pen, please? Kathy, have we had yours?
No, but that's okay.
Oh, no,
But
no,
I
I
will-
need to see yours.
Oh, shoot. I was gonna match Jerry with my mala beads because I wear them all the time, but of course not right now. But I would love to share a gift that someone gave me. And when it was presented to me, I had no idea how I would possibly, what I would possibly do with it. But it's a coaster of the Queen that Isabel Pollen brought from England. And it's right here. I wasn't sure what I would do, but it holds my coffee or my tea every morning. So it's a great reminder of our visit together.
Thank you. So please take a pen now, and if you would, and use the boxes, write down everybody's name and write down one thing that you remember about their story, please, about their object. Just one thing. And when you're done, just raise your hand, please, so that I know you're done. Thank you.
Did I win?
You did, Scott, you won. Winner's pose.
This makes me happy.
Who else is done? Excellent. Thanks, Chris. Okay, so Frank, if you would be so kind as to read out your list with the things that you remembered, please. And I'm not going to go through everyone, but I would like to hear Frank's.
Oh, Tom was Thailand. Scott was the easy button. Kathy was her beads. Jackie was her toys, her face. Jerry was her beads. Manola was her globe.
Mm-hmm.
And then for Deb and Amy, I put down their necklaces, but I think I missed one of them. So
Okay, thank you. And this is not about getting it right, by the way. I'm just interested and curious to see what stayed with you. So out of all of those people, which one have you learned something about? Probably all of them, but which one is the first one that comes to your mind? When I ask you which one you've learned something about, which one comes first?
Tom, teaching in Thailand.
Okay. Anybody else have that one as the go-to? Yeah. Okay. Who else has something different as the go-to? as the one that they remember the most instantly? Tom?
Deb's with the elephant. I instantly thought, because elephants are very pack oriented and how they take care of each other, especially the females. So I instantly resonated with a pack of, elephants supporting each other and being part of that group.
But sorry, did somebody say something? No? Okay, so what do you think we're getting at here? Yes, Manola, just a second. I'm curious if you are on the same track in terms of the things that make, and we're going to have a look at this in a second more strategically, but the things that make stories memorable. Why is it that, so Tom used the word resonate, that the elephant pack resonated with him. What could we replace resonate with? If we're talking about story and our ability to relate to story, what is it that we're talking about?
Connection.
Yeah. And
Meaning.
Yes, the ability to empathize. So that's what makes us so incredible as a species. There are many other wonderful species that Mr. Doherty could tell us all about, much, much better than I can. But the thing that makes us, and the thing that's allowed us to survive the longest, is the ability to empathize. So when you hear something that you can empathize with, you are literally lighting up more areas of the brain. Now, we're very likely to do that when we're talking about a personal object, or as Jackie did, something that we use in our work, or as Chris did. Chris, what did Chris tell us about herself? I remember, but I want you to remember. What was the thing that we learned about Chris from her object? Manola, yeah.
That she's a words person.
Exactly. So if I hadn't asked you to get an object, we might not have understood or learned that about Chris. Chris might have told a story about herself that would have missed that out completely. So the point here is, it's not always about the content of what we say, it's how we frame it, and it's what we use to make our story stick. And objects are something that, certainly when we present an idea or we pitch an idea, particularly here, again, if we're in the room, we're more likely to pick up an object or get people to have a feel of the product or whatever it might be. If it was this bottle, I would perhaps pass it around the room. When we're remote, we can forget how powerful objects can be to get us zeroing in on the thing that we're trying to say. So that's one thing. Manola, did you have something you wanted to add?
I thought I misunderstood the homework, because what I wrote was in one word the meaning behind the stories.
You didn't misunderstand, but I appreciated that Frank got all of the objects. So
yeah.
That's what Frank took from it, and that's great. And it was great that he remembered all the objects. But please, yes, share your meaning of the objects with us, if you would.
So I got generosity for Tom.
Mm-hmm.
I got memories for Frank. I got easy for Scott. Protection for Jerry. Joy for Jackie. Friendship for Kathy. Belonging for Deb. Welcoming for Chris. And feelings for Amy.
Fantastic. Makes complete sense when it's somebody with your level of experience and expertise with people, that you would go there in terms of the subtext. So, in acting, if I get a script, I can perform the lines on the script. Any actor can do that. The real challenge for an actor is to perform what's not written. So when you're thinking about stories that you tell, it's also about the subtext of that story, that the words that are not said, that can be as powerful and that can give us as much meaning and as much insight into that person. I'm going to just share now this. Where's it gone? There it is. Before I do that, actually, are any of you familiar with Mentimeter? Yeah. Great. Kathy, Manola. Nobody else is?
I don't think so.
Great.
What's it? How do you spell it?
Mentimeter. Mentimeter. Don't worry. I'm going to share a slide with you now, which tells you exactly what to do. So if you could please go to menti.com. That I apologize, that website up there is not actually, just if you could get to your phone out and type in, if you're on your phone, then don't worry, just witness this. But if you could get your phone and type in menti.com into the Google search, and then it will prompt you to enter a code. Yes?
Yes.
Lovely. And that is the code you must enter, please. Once you've done that, you should have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yes.
Everybody there? Chris, do you have that? Fabulous. Thank you. I'm now going to stop sharing that, and I'm going to start sharing something else with you, which will give you, I hope, the results for what we've just talked about. So hang on a second. Yes, here we go. Okay, so if you could put your answers in and submit them, and then we will see this word cloud coming up. And the more...
What? I'm confused. What we're supposed to put those words in?
No. You go to your, Jerry, you go to your Mentimeter. So the question,
I'm there.
and then you submit your answers. You just put any answers in that underneath that question, and you submit them. There's a button where you, and then you'll see those words coming up on my screen.
Okay.
And I'm encouraging you to enter as many words as you can think of, so that we can see what we get as a group. And we'll create this word cloud. Fabulous. So we've got sustenance. I'm very curious about that one. I'm going to come back to that. Impact, emotion. Yeah. Context, emotion, definitely. This is Brené Brown's, this is not mine, but I love it as a quote, that stories are data with a soul. And it's true. And the soul part of a story is emotion, without question. That is what stays with us. Compassion, yeah, viewpoint, empathy, belonging, vulnerable examples, yes, coming to that in a second. Feelings, absolutely. Humor can work, Thailand, yeah. Heart, yes, definitely. People, lived experience, fabulous. What is the biggest one that's coming up though, for all of you there to see?
Emotion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So look, this is not rocket science. It's not something that's news to us necessarily. Not much of my work is really, because I'm a big believer in practice and rehearsal. So what I'm getting us to do is to amplify how important that piece of storytelling is. And when I say piece, what I mean is the piece that fits emotion, the piece that really gives us the feeling of what it is that we're talking about. Would you agree that when we tell or when we deliver work-related content, and we are looking to connect with other people through that content, or we're looking to connect with other people through that exchange, whatever it might be, we can forget to focus on the feeling? Would you agree with that? Amy, thank you. Thank you so much for being here, Amy. See you again very soon. Yeah. So I'm going to ask one person to be brave, please. Could one person volunteer to tell us a story right now of a time in their life where there was a turning point. So again, it really doesn't have to be anything particularly profound. I'm actually going to get a couple of you. How long do we have? Yeah, a couple of you to do this. And just notice instantly, as I'm talking now, you're listening less to what I'm saying and you're thinking more about what you're going to say, right? So instantly there is the editing process happening in our heads. Is that appropriate? No. Will that be relevant to Manola? No, probably not. Will Kathy like that? Is Scott still on the call? The self-talk that happens is very loud when we think about telling story. Children, and the thing that is so appealing to me, and I've had the most incredible privilege recently of going into our daughter's, she's 7, school. They're doing Alice in Wonderland, the musical. It has to be seen to be believed. And I'm getting involved in the rehearsals. And children, and we were all children once, have the ability to offer story without even thinking about it. So they don't do the censoring as much. Now, of course, again, Jackie, to your point, appropriate context, etc. I'm looking to you now to start to work that muscle of what is it that I want to tell and how can I best tell it, rather than am I telling the right story? There's a difference between those two frames. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so turning point, 2 minutes max, literally. I'm going to stop you if it goes on too long because we only have a certain amount of time. But I'd like a couple of you to tell us your story. Who will do us the great honor of telling their story, please?
Happy to be plan B.
Manola, will you be plan A and then we can have plan B work it out? Please. I'm going to spotlight you so that you're visible to everybody.
Oh God, I apologize for that. So the story that first came to mind is 2019, and I had a huge burnout. And it took my first heart attack to really, wake me up. And I left against everybody's advice. I left the corporate world. And the best excuse that I had was that I loved my work and I hated my job. And I realized that I allowed my work to become my whole identity. And it was a very, very long, still ongoing in some bits and pieces, journey to really understand who I have become while absorbing other people's expectations and definitions of a good life and definitions of what I was meant to do, all the while killing small bits and pieces of my soul with it. So that's my story of a turning point. And I oftentimes say that getting to my true self, getting back to my true self took everything I got and even more. And I learned that, if I have to fear losing someone, I will always fear losing myself most. And never again.
You're on mute.
I was just testing. Joke. I was definitely not just testing. I was saying thank you very much for sharing that. You just naturally used the structure that I'm about to introduce because we are natural storytellers, much more than we think we are. But I'm not going to introduce that quite yet because I'd like to hear one other. Would anybody else be plan B, please? Tom, thank you very much.
So I thought turning point, when I turned 14, my grandmother took me to Washington, DC on April vacation. And we went to the Smithsonian Institute and we walked around DC, and my grandmother stopped by Congress and she decided that she was going to go in and see Senator Kennedy. And I looked at her and said, well, he's not going to see you. You don't have an appointment. She said, I'm a voter and I'm important. And if he's in, he'll see me. I just thought, oh my God, she's crazy. And we went into his office, and the woman said, she announced herself. She said, I'm Rita Hamilton. I'm from Malden, Massachusetts. I'm a nurse, blah, 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 blah. And the woman said, well, do you have an appointment? And I'm like, oh, here it comes. Do you have an appointment? She goes, no, but if the senator's in, I'd like to see him because we need to talk about healthcare. And she said, well, hold on 1 minute. Next thing you know, Senator Kennedy comes out, says, Mrs. Hamilton, welcome. How can I help you? What can we talk about today? Let's get coffee. Let's get tea, right? I sat in there astonished and listened to them debate healthcare in 1984 for 45 minutes. I walked out of there and said, nobody's that important. I have never been blown away by anybody's fame or money or anything since then. We all put our pants on the same, one leg at a time. Unless you're special, you can do 2 legs, but I can't. So that's my story.
Thank you so much. First words that come to mind. Let's all take ourselves off mute, please. What are the first words before I introduce this structure? What are the first words that come to mind about those 2 stories, please?
I didn't know
Fabulous.
Manola had a heart attack.
Me either.
I didn't either.
Right. Okay, so information that we didn't know is usually the key. That's why we tell stories, is to share information to survive. Right? That's the root of them. And what else? What else are we? What
The
else?
lesson that Manola had at the end.
Yes, Frank.
Well, in Tom's case, it's the reminder that what they've always said, and that is very, very powerful politicians still. They got that way because they paid attention to the individual.
Yeah, so we have our learnings, we have what we call our call to action, right? And I'm going to come to that in a second. But the first thing I want to show you is this very simple deck. And you all did this very, very naturally. Yes, Tom's grandma is magic. So I call this the cabin crew stage of storytelling. We all know, right? You would have all flown a lot, I would imagine. So it's not about lack of familiarity without being on a plane, but when we see the cabin crew come out, we know 3 things. One is that we feel safer. The second thing is we know that something's going to happen. And the third thing is that we know exactly where we are. And Manola did this very, very effectively. Tom went straight into the next thing, which I'm going to show you in a minute. But Manola did this by saying, I'm going to share a story about this. So she gave us the headline. She also cabin crewed us by saying, I apologize for being on spotlight. So, because, that's a statement that she didn't need to say. She didn't know she was going to say it, but it enabled us to settle and get ready for the story with a bit of humor, because that's Manola. And we've never met in person, by the way, but I know that she uses humor to let people land. So think about your cabin crew moment before you launch straight into your thing, whatever the thing is: pitch, a sale, a conversation, a bit of feedback. Yeah. The next thing is that. And that's where Tom went straight away, didn't he? Can anybody remember what Tom said at the beginning of his story? What was his hook?
Passing by the Congress.
Yeah, can anybody remember the age that he was?
He was
14.
14 on a trip with his grandmother.
Yeah. So he did the TED Talk approach, Tom. He went straight into the story. Yeah. And we can forget about the hook. Again, if we're thinking about ourselves in the story and not about our audience and what they need to hear first, we can miss the hook, and then we wonder why they didn't get it, and we wonder why they don't get what they need to do with that information as well. Then we're ready for our message. Now, both of you had a very clear one thing. Again, if we were to airlift, or Deb, to use one of your images, air balloon this into a more corporate setting, we would probably have 2 or 3 things, or one of my biggest diversions, an agenda, which we're going to forget in 5 minutes anyway, to go through, right? So my offer to you today is stick to the one thing that you want us to think about. And again, Tom and Manola did this very naturally. What was Manola's one thing? Anybody?
That she would prioritize herself first.
Yeah, exactly right. Quotes were used, but not so definitively as a quote. This is here because I love quotes. I think quotes can be very, very helpful when we're telling stories. You both used quotes from, you did what's called sort of third person. So you personified yourself. Manola, you talked about yourself at that time. And you used your voice from that time very naturally because you were telling a story about them. Tom, you gave us a mini film snippet of that moment with your grandmother and Senator Kennedy. And again, when we are delivering stories that feel a little more heavy with data or whatever it might be, we forget to do that. We forget that we love to hear voices in stories, right? They really engage us, and they help us to remember. There's nothing quite like a strong finish. And you both had a very strong finish. When we hear stories, we are absolutely heading for this. And if we don't get a strong finish, we are very disappointed and we'll probably not remember the point. Right? So again, we tend to put our focus on the strong start. Remember the strong finish, because that's what's going to call us to action right at the end. And you both had an incredibly strong call to action. What was Tom's call to action?
That no one has more worth than the other person because of a title or a position.
Great. And that's not what he said, but Jackie, that was your interpretation of it. The point is the message and the feeling of that message, the way he said it, and the way he really galvanized us to join him on that mission is the thing that we've remembered from the story. Manola's call to action?
Take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody knows you better than you.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm never gonna, I've always worried about losing somebody, but I'm never gonna let myself lose myself. That was the call to action for me. Now, again, these are not, this is not something that you've not heard before. What's powerful about dropping it into your own stories is to notice and to really own how you very naturally do this. When you give yourself permission to, you very naturally do this. And so what we want is to allow ourselves to really understand, and I'm just going to share something with you now. that will back this up. That this story structure is called the hero story structure. Can you all see that?
Mm.
Yeah. Again, it's very simple, but it absolutely is what Tom and Manola just did. So they made a statement. They gave us the struggle. So Manola's struggle was, I let this happen once. I burnt out. This was what happened. It had all of these consequences. Tom's struggle was, are you crazy, lady? Do you really think the Senator's going to give you? And the more we big up, I'll bring that back in a second. The more we big up the struggle, the more invested we are in the solution, in the win, in the call to action. Again, what we tend to do in storytelling is we shy away from the struggle and we don't go there. But actually, we need to hear that as an audience. We really need to hear that. James Bond, I always use this as an example. We never see a Bond movie with him sitting on a beach, sipping a martini with a beautiful woman on his lap, right? I mean, if a Bond movie started like that, we'd be like, give me Netflix. He's always hanging out of an aeroplane with thousands of people trying to shoot him. So the best stories start with the struggle. And that's where we need to go too, because it builds that empathy we talked about before. Then we can deliver the solution. Then we're ready to hear the solution. If there is a solution or a conversation or whatever it might be, then we can big up the benefits of that. Oh, we've got 4 minutes. And then the call to action, like I said. This is what we've started to tap into. We haven't really, like I say, we've scraped the surface today. That's all we have time for. But these are the 3 tenets of my work. The way that we breathe, our breath, how we show up and our present and our presence. There is a reason why the word present is in the word presentation, because it is about us meeting our audience where they're at. And if we're not doing that with the best will in the world, we're just not going to listen. And practice. This stuff takes practice. Years and years of it. I've been an actress for 27 years now, and I still get very, very nervous, by the way. So it takes practice. And I want to finish in the last 3 minutes by offering you this little structure, which it's a bit of magic. For me, it has been very useful, and it's very useful for any sort of, I suppose, succinct storytelling. If you just need to make a point. So if you're not going into an entire story, but you need to make a point within a story, this is a very useful one. I saw the word example come up in our word cloud. There was another word that I wanted to ask about. I'm not sure that we've got time. But anyway, point, reason, example, point spells out the acronym PREP. And let me ask you the final question of the session. Why are examples so important? Let's hear from somebody. I don't know if Deb, would you tell us why you feel examples are important when we're making a point or when we're telling a story?
I think it personalizes or brings an experience into what you're trying to tell, and trying to give someone an example of how that interaction or that thing impacted.
Absolutely. It's the evidence, right? It's the evidence. And what I say is that it plays the film in our head of what we're talking about. Otherwise, it's just bleh. It's just a statement. It doesn't mean anything. So in that structure, when we make our point and we give the reason for the point, and we give an example of either something that's happening because of this thing or something that's not happening that needs to happen. So I'm going to give an example. The Outlier Project is unique in the way that it works. The reason is that there is a community of individuals here that are wholly invested in supporting. For example, I joined last September, and the only thing that I've ever experienced from anybody here, particularly the individuals here today, is support. So the Outlier Project is a unique community of people. That's how it works. We've run out of time. Thank you so much for being here. Hugely appreciated. And
That was
Yeah,
great.
thoroughly enjoyed
Yeah.
this. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So very interesting. Thank you, Isabel.
I
Well,
love how it's so different, right? Like everybody brings such a unique offering to this. I
Spot
love
on,
it.
Kathy. Spot on. Yeah, I love it all.
I can't wait to attend more of them now that I'm not traveling so much.
And I mean, Isabel and I spent like 4 days together, right? But we never have this conversation. It's like, it's an
No.
intentional conversation that I loved it. And I had an attorney calling, so I was missing pieces and parts, but for the part that I was here for, I just loved it. I love getting to know everybody on this call in that tiny little way of holding up one little thing.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
Isabel, if you were going to hold up one thing, what was it going to be? You didn't hold up one thing.
Unexpected, but okay.
I know, I'm not panning to the American audience. That is not why I'm holding this up.
I mean, you just became more of a favorite. I don't know what to tell you.
It's my stepson's American football, and he doesn't live in this room anymore, but this is his old room. So it just brings a little bit of him back. There's trophies here as well. Tennis trophies and football trophies. But that was going to be my object, but I was more interested in giving time to yours.
Love that.
Thank you so much. I'm going to let you go. I'm happy to run another of these, Kathy, if you think that would be popular.
I think so. Yeah, I think
Right.
so. I think we just kind of touched the surface on that. So yes.
Yeah,
Wonderful
Thank
to
you,
see you
Isabel.
all.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
I loved
everybody.
it. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
It was awesome. Awesome with shouty capitals.
Thank you very much. Thank you for
See
being
you
there.
soon.
Yes. Bye.
Ciao.